gather here with open hearts and eager minds. A cheerful morning to all present here. I'm truly delighted to stand before you today and extend a warm welcome on behalf of Anan International School. We have the honor and privilege of extending our gratitude to our distinguished guest, Dr.Aishwarya Arjun, beloved teachers, and my dear friends. As we gather here today for a very special occasion that promises to be both enlightening and inspiring. Imagine a future where technology and healthcare create a world where the impossible becomes a routine. How does it function? And what promises and challenges does it hold for the future of all of us? So yes, this is a captivating dream of medical robotics we're about to explore. It's a world where science fiction and reality blur, where machines and humans collaborate to redefine the future of healthcare. Our gathering is not just about facts and figures. It's an invitation to imagine, to question, and to envision the limitless potential of this fusion. So let's embark on this extraordinary journey where the future of medicine is shaped by innovation, compassion, and your curiosity. Now I would like to welcome my fellow student, Netra, to introduce our distinguished guest.
A hearty welcome to one and all present here. Today, I take the privilege of welcoming the renowned doctor and entrepreneur, Dr. Aishwarya Arjun, who has achieved great success and significantly contributed to the society and community. Ma'am is a medical graduate from the PhD Institute of Medical Science with an MD in Public Health and has a keen interest in serving women in our society, with a special focus on preventive health and education. Dr. Aishwarya Arjun is the co-founder of ATRE Healthcare, a startup that is innovating in the field of medical robotics. ATRE recently received a grant from Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council for furthering their dream of using robotics to make healthcare more affordable and penetrating into rural India. The doctor is currently a chairperson of National Health Young Indians. Under her leadership in the health vertical, Doctor initiated the Gift and Organ program in Coimbatore to create awareness on organ donation, and now a national initiative across 65 cities. Doctor was a part of the team who represented India at the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance at Japan in 2019. Doctor was chosen as a champion of change by NITI-IO and presented ideas on the planning and infrastructure of the cities of tomorrow to the Health Minister of India. Doctor is one of the trustees in the Trust for Rural and Urban Social Transformation and also an active trust member of GRE Trust. It doesn't end with this. Doctor is also actively involved in GRE CPF Matriculation School, founded and run by her family for children in rural areas. With this warm note, I would like to welcome you once again on behalf of the management, principal, teachers, and students of Anan. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for that introduction and thank you for that welcome. I'm very happy to be here today and to see so many more girls than boys is quite encouraging. I am here because I'm part of Young Indians, first of all, and Abhilasha, who heads this program to bring experiences to school children that actually help them, think differently, think big, and do something more than just learn from school, right? So Abhilasha runs this program for children called Talir, which is usually conversations like this, with people who have actually not done so much. What she's read about me is a couple of things that I did, but it was possible because I think I was exposed at the right time to the right people, and therefore thought it was possible to achieve what I have so far. Right? So I thought I'd just talk to you a little bit about my growing years and the influence my parents and my family had on me, and because of that, the opportunities that came my way, and you can stop me whenever, and then how I ended up doing what I'm doing today. Yeah. So I'm from Hyderabad. I grew up in Hyderabad, went to a very strict convent school where, we were always taught to sit with our knees together and our backs straight and things like that, which I'm bringing up only because at that time when all our sisters in school told us to wish everybody when they saw them and things like that, we thought they were so mundane, mainstream. But I feel somehow, things that are instilled in you as children go a long way. And I think you should value all your teachers here. And I see how well everything is put together in your school. Yeah. So those are small things that you can't ignore. My father, grandfather, great grandfather, all of them have been doctors. So I grew up, with maybe not a straight off ambition to be a doctor, but I knew I was going to be doing something towards helping people. Yeah. And maybe in middle school I realized that I was doing better in science than in math, and then therefore there was this thing that I gradually automatically lean towards doing medicine. At that time I was very sure I wanted to be a gastroenterologist. Yeah, so I had a very good teacher who was very, very good to his patients, very good in his subject, and was a great teacher, right? So I thought I wanted to be a gastroenterologist, and that's what I was leaning towards. And, every conversation I had with my father or grandfather, anybody at that time, they would all say, by the time the patient is walking into your office, you already make a diagnosis, right? This was the thought process that I was exposed to as a child. Now, I'm married and now live in Coimbatore, and I live with a group of very, very technically thinking engineers all the time who think very differently, right? And I don't know if all of you heard that, in one of his speeches, Satya Nadella was saying that because of all the digital evolution in healthcare, before you even make a probable diagnosis, today, 100,000 data points are considered, right? So back in the day, I believed that your eyes and your skin, your fingertips helped you make the perfect diagnosis. Now, it's very different. I'm not saying this is right or that is wrong. One is superior over the other, but we have to realize that we're at a stage where technology is so advanced that we have to embrace it if we want to do better. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. So from wanting to be a mainstream gastroenterologist who was going to see one patient at a time to be using medical technology to access people half across the world was quite a transition that I think I made almost naturally without thinking too much about it. Yeah. So I think here I would like to tell you all that it's good to have a goal. It's great to have a goal, but it's also essential that we are agile in everything that we're doing, right? Be open to information, to opportunity, to everything that comes your way, because every day is so different. So when we were studying, when I was doing my undergraduation, laparoscopy was a big deal then, right? So in our Viva, if we said one surgery could be done or could not be done by laparoscopy, it was a big deal. Today, if we said that it can't be done with laparoscopy, for sure, you won't pass that exam. Yeah, so there's so much change already. So from general surgery, open surgery to laparoscopic itself, back then we thought was a giant leap. From laparoscopy to robotic surgery now is a real transformation. And I'll share with you a little bit about how we started Atre. Atre is the company that we started a couple of years ago to actually make this opportunity for quality healthcare available to everybody. Yeah. So as we all know, the disparity in healthcare in India is vast. It's not just because of affordability, but it's also because of geography, right? There's, in all our rural areas, there's so many people who need quality healthcare who don't have access to a good doctor, right? By the time they reach, so WHO did a study, and by the time they reach the first doctor to make a diagnosis, they've already lost about 3 months. Yeah, so which is a long time. So when we are exposed to situations like this, you realize how when you put small things together, something big comes out so beautifully, right? So what we do in R3 is a tele-robotic ultrasound machine where a doctor here in Coimbatore, for example, can sit in his hospital or in his office and remotely control a robot that's present in a rural area or in a health camp or even in somebody's home. Somebody who has, an elderly person who has restricted movement, who can't come to the hospital. It's for people like this in emergency care and in ambulances where, you can save time by doing an ultrasound on the move. So things like that. So anything that uses a network to communicate is telemedicine, right? So here we're using a cobot. I really like, thanks for the questions, Abhi. Some of the questions that you had noted down, I'm going to try and talk about in my speech, but if I forget anything, please remember to ask me. So anything that, like I said, uses a network. It could be a common 5G network, for example, or it could be a secured line of network. Any network that's used in communication between the robot and the actual medical instrument is telemedicine. Yeah. So here what we use is a cobot. It's not really a robot, it's a cobot. It's called a cobot because it's a collaborative robot. Yeah. And I'm sure all of you have seen large industries with large robots that are, doing many things seamlessly, right? But all of them, if you notice, are kind of cordoned off, right? They have like a queue manager or something telling you that you can't cross this line. Those are large industrial machines which have some danger to humans in the sense that you can't go too close unless you're qualified to be there, right? But a cobot, which is a collaborative robot, could have been right here in between us because it understands that there is a person around them, right? So if my hand, for example, touches the robot, the cobot, it will stop. Yeah. So that's what we use. It has 6 degrees of freedom. So therefore, it can do multiple things that the human hand can do. And as the doctor, all of you have seen how a doctor does an ultrasound, right? So he has a probe and he's moving his hand. He or she is moving the hand and the image is captured on the screen. So here the doctor moves a joystick that actually now looks exactly like the ultrasound probe. So then there's no learning curve for the doctor. He's comfortable doing what he's always been doing. Yeah, there's no change in that. There's also a two-way audio-video communication, right? So as a doctor, the most important thing I think we need to achieve here is patient confidence and then patient safety, right? So when you are seeing the patient and you're talking to the patient knows that it's not a machine doing the test, and there's an actual person who's controlling the scan, right? So that's something that we also wanted to keep as part of the solution. Another thing that we want to very seriously do is also maintain patient privacy, right? So there are parts of the body that are going to be examined. We don't want it to be exposed to unauthorized people. We don't want tests reports to be accessed by anybody unnecessarily. So we also have a very secure line of communication. There's no screen of the ultrasound at the rural center, right? So only the doctor who's doing the scan has access to that image. So he has the image, and then he's talking to the. I'm not sure how many of you have done ultrasounds, but sometimes the doctor says hold your breath, or sometimes he says turn to the left a little bit or turn to the right. So when the doctor is actually telling you that, it's very simple to have maybe 30 ultrasounds versus 3 ultrasounds a day instead of a doctor actually moving to these locations. Yeah. Another of your questions was if the solution is going to replace the doctor. So, in my opinion, actually, I should tell you a little story why we even. About 14 years ago, my husband lost his grandmother to cancer, right? And he was very sure that the diagnosis was misinterpreted, and he's a robotic engineer, by the way, and completely believes that there is no space for human error in medicine or in any other field anymore. So he, from back then, 12, 13 years ago, kept telling me that, there has to be a layer of AI and machine learning in this whole process to eliminate any possible error. So ever since then, I've been thinking about it, but obviously it became reality only now. And so the idea is not to replace the doctor at any stage. It's only to empower the doctor with many tools that can actually be used to make a perfect diagnosis. Yeah, so I remember that is one of your questions. Now, any of you have any questions? So, robots can be used in a lot of healthcare applications. Surgery is one of the most advanced, but very simple things like even a teleconsultation, for example, right? During COVID, we all know that it was almost impossible to get an appointment with the doctor and actually see the patient. So it's a risk for the doctor as well, right? So there are many applications where you can use robots as, for elderly people, like I said, they're actually assistive cobots in their house to make sure their vitals are all monitored, their medication is taken on time, even simple things like sipping on water, things like that can be reminded. So from that spectrum to people, sports personnel, other people who need physical rehabilitation, instead of actually having a physiotherapist to do something very repetitive 3 times a day, a robot is used to make this process more efficient and perfectly on time. Yeah. Surgery, of course, like I said, I spoke about the ultrasound. That's a imaging modality. Surgery is, of course, a very advanced application of robotics. It helps vastly because compared to the human eye and the human hand, the error that the robot eliminates is almost none. Right? So robots are very, very useful to do very precise, repetitive applications in any field, and medicine is one of them. Yeah, so the person recovers faster after the surgery because there's no extra injury, there's no extra blood loss. The incision that you make earlier, like for a cardiothoracic surgery, for example, your whole sternum was open to make that bypass possible. Here, it's a small, maybe 3 mm incision that the person has to deal with, and in 3-4 days, the person is able to do what they did earlier.
If something goes wrong during the procedure, will the robot be able to identify and rectify it?
So, right now, most of the actions that are instructed to the robot are by the doctor, by the surgeon, right? but there are many applications now that actually even prevent the doctor from making a mistake. So, using the same example of the cardiothoracic surgery, if there is a vessel, right, that you don't want to go close to or injure, you can mark that area, you can mark that vessel, and even if the doctor's hand. So another problem with the robot completely eliminates is mild tremor. All our hands when we're doing something is mild tremor, like some millimeters, right? Even that is avoided with a robot. So yeah, the robot doesn't make the mistake because everything else is already pre-programmed. It also prevents the mistakes that the rest of the team probably may make. So yeah, it is a giant leap.
So what is the work with robotic learning?
So robotics learning has been around for 20 years now, and been quite successful for over 10 years. So initially it was again for the heart, largely for the abdomen, because all those surgeries were traditionally done with large incisions, like appendix and things like that. They were very large incisions. There was a lot of healing that delayed recovery in the mostly children at that time. So orthopedics was another big application, cardiothoracic, abdominal, these are the major.
Has there been any malfunctions or errors that has occurred?
I won't call it an error, but the alarming thing that I've seen happen is so it's not the same, right? Here in a general surgery, the doctor calls the shots. He has a lot of assistants. He has nurses. He has other people helping in the operating theater. Here with the robot, they're like 5 arms. Maybe I can show you some pictures. But they're like 5 arms. He's operating something. He's learning a new skill. This again is not something that he practiced all these years, right? So sometimes it gets a little tedious for him. Yeah, his arms may start hurting, and trying to coordinate with the rest of the team. That was and these are renowned, very good surgeons who also had issues. Apart from that, maybe in India some power outages or something like that. Those have been the actual hiccups in the process, but nothing that we can't overcome with more training and better facilities.
Now, in the field of medicine, what are the spectrums of works that robots are programmed to do?
Like I said, there are many. There are very many. Robots can be very simple in the sense, even in hospitals, guiding you through the process of, now we have people telling us register here and the OPs there. Even that a robot can do. So something as simple as that to very advanced microsurgery, right? And everything else in between. So, like I said, physiotherapy is one of physical therapy. And then, I don't know if all of you have seen people with missing arms, hands or legs. They have lots of exoskeletons that they're called now that are incorporated that help them get back to their daily activities. There's a lot of nanotechnology. So you actually swallow a little robot. It goes in, images everything inside, comes out. So yeah, the opportunities and the applications are very many. And every day there's a new application, right? So something else that we're working on currently is training young people. So it's literally where we are global that you have your, probes to control, like how you play a video game literally, and you in 6 months can probably perform a surgery. So it's very progressive, and there's evolution every day with you. So there are many applications now.
Can the robots diagnose common health issues?
Yeah, like I said, that's the easier part, right? You don't even need a robot. You just need a artificial intelligence application or integrated within the whole system. But yeah, very easily, very easily. So that's the point. When you substitute that technology to a doctor who's seen so many patients in a place like India, the doctor's focus can stay with patient empathy and patient, understanding and counseling. He doesn't need to be. Sometimes when you go to a doctor, you might feel, oh, he didn't spend any time with us, but he or she is probably thinking of all the possible diagnoses that she can't miss, right? So here, if there is a actual, machine doing that for you, then your focus stays on asking the patient how he or she is actually feeling and how if they're doing better and what their real problems are. So there's no question of replacing a doctor here. It's just additional tools for the doctor to use.
How do you see the current state of medical robotics industry, and what is the potential you can see for innovation and growth in the industries?
Very good question. Especially for us here in India, it is still very, very expensive. Yeah. I know there's a new robot in Coimbatore that costed 37 crores, I want to say. So, of course, the cost is still very, very high. It increases the cost of a normal surgery by about ₹1,00,000, for example. I'm just giving you a sort of comparison, right? Because there are a lot of consumables that go into the process and which can't be reused. So there is a direct increase in each cost of surgery. There is a lot of scope in bringing all those costs down, right? None of these are made in India. Everything is imported. So yeah, all of those consumables and for example, the solution we are making, even China is making it at a cost that's 3.5 times what we want to make it as. Yeah, we want to be able to make it really, really affordable and available. So I think that is the biggest opportunity in advanced robotics.
Ma'am, so as a doctor, you know that you know all about AIs, and you believe on the AI that it can do the surgeries and other activities. But how will you bring that belief in common people? Because when it comes to illness, doctors are God to common people. So how will you bring that belief that the robots can do the surgery?
That's a very interesting question. Last week there was a big congress held in the United Kingdom actually to talk about sort of bringing some principles and commonality between the AI and all the other facilities that use AI in some sort of under some sort of a system, right? So that it's not being misused, to start with, and some sort of a system to be shared medically among all the institutions in the world, right? So there is no unknown in some sense. So everybody knows what they're getting when they have the opportunity to use AI in medicine. But at the same time, it will be very challenging to make, I don't know, my grandmother, for example, to believe that a robot can do a better job than an actual surgeon, or the doctor who she's believed all along treated her, to say that doctor uses one pair of eyes and his hands to diagnose you. Now we're using the knowledge of 100,000 doctors from across the world to make the same diagnosis. It's going to be challenging, but that's what I was saying. Like, use these tools as aids to treat patients, not directly treat them. They still need that human component to make it more personal and more believable and bring faith to the whole process.
Is it affordable for people in all the sectors of the society?
Right now, I want to say it is still quite expensive, but I have no doubt that in 10 years it will be like I said, when laparoscopy came out 25, 30 years ago, it was very expensive. Now, choosing a laparoscopic surgery over a general surgery open surgery is almost a no-brainer. It will take its time, but I'm sure looking at all the benefits that are available with robotic surgery, for sure it will be. Costs will come down. Now they are like, 7 big robotic surgical robot manufacturers in the world. I'm sure there'll be more, and I'm sure some will come out of this room here, right? All of you think about developing, innovating, new, better things.
So, ma'am, can this type of technology be set up in government institutions?
Yes, I mean, that's the only way that we can make use of such technology to serve larger groups of people, right? So, when I was studying, we used to go as a group of, 15, 20, 30 people far into like the smaller villages, and we used to do cancer screening for women and children and, different groups of people. And it took so long and it took so much time that fatigue was another important factor that would set in, right? By afternoon, you're beginning to feel hungry, you're tired, and things like that. But now, if we actually use a robot that you can carry to any part of the rural community, there's no question of fatigue, right? You're eliminating all the errors that come up because of that, and so it is the government sector that has to be at the forefront to adapt to these technologies.
Ma'am, do you think that when AI comes into the lab for diagnosing problems, do you think that surgeons and doctors' importance will be less in the future?
It won't be less because I don't know. Would my grandmother say, "I want that robot to operate me," or will she still say, "I want that doctor to use a robot maybe and then operate on me"? Right? So I think, and that's the importance of the whole scenario today. We don't want to replace a surgeon, or we don't want to replace the doctor here. We just want to make sure his time is spent on the right things, right? His communication, his empathy, his history taking, things like that are the factors that actually help make the diagnosis, because the doctor is actually asking the AI platform, for example, the possible diagnosis, or he's also instructing the rest of the team what the possible surgery could be. So, no, I don't think in medicine the doctor will be eliminated because of the body.
Ma'am, how do you maintain a balance between innovation and cost effectiveness in the development of medical robotics?
Largely, the cost goes into R&D, and this, I guess, is something that's common to all industries. The other added cost here is a lot of clinical trials. So it not only costs a lot of money, it takes a lot of time. Yeah. So like our solution, for example, we once we have a prototype, we actually apply to lots of certifying organizations nationally. Every stage of our progress has to be certified and permitted by these groups. So the Indian Institute for Medical Research, for example, they have to certify that our robot is okay to take the next step and actually get into human trials. Yeah. So the cost for all these things is high, and I think as more people do it, it will bring down the end cost to the patient. But these processes, I think, are necessary, and therefore it's okay that we're spending the time and the money on that aspect of development.
Ma'am,
of these medical robots are in India?
In India, surgical robots. So Coimbatore has about 7 or 8, which is a lot. Yeah. India has, I think, 150 or 280 robots, which is a lot. Yeah. Whether it's being used effectively, I'm not sure, because there is a long training process for all surgeons. So, between my father and my father, they always keep saying, like an aircraft, for example, should never be turned off, they say. So every time it, lands somewhere, the turnaround has to be so quick that only then it's an efficient use of the aircraft. And apparently, unless a medical robot, a surgical robot is used to that level, it's not going to make sense at the price that it's sold at now. So yeah, we have a lot of robots, but are we doing enough is the question.
Well, while considering the cost of maintaining robots, do you consider employing robots or humans more effective?
Like I said, there are some things that only the human can do, and there are some things that without a doubt the robot can do way better than any human. Right? He may be the best surgeon, he may be the best physician. There are some things that, like I said, repetitive, anything repetitive, if you have to do something over and over again, there is some amount of fatigue that sets in into a human, which does not happen with a robot. Let me tell you, so when I visited a robot manufacturing plant in Japan, they are robots making the robots, okay? And the room was pitch dark. So they don't need light, they don't need any human intervention. So it's so accurate. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So over and over again, they do the exact same thing and there is no scope for error. So would I choose a robot or a human to do something that I want very precisely done? What do you think?
I think robot.
Yeah, I also think so.
Well, how do you manage to be both a doctor as well as an entrepreneur?
I don't think I'm a very good entrepreneur, but yeah. I think it was because I had the exposure to medicine that I realized that this was possible in India to do. Because we have all the infrastructure, we have all the ability to put this solution together. And when a company like in the US, which is Da Vinci, which has been leading this space for about 25 years, nobody seems to even think that that market can be entered because these giants are there. And they never, like I said, we have robots in India, but it's never going to be available to the people who need it the most if the price doesn't come down. So I don't think I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think it was almost like I had to do it. So that's the transition.
Were there any organizations helping you financially while you were implementing this idea?
I'm very glad you brought that up. So when we started this company, so my husband has a robotic company which is 20 years old, and we use a lot of their R&D to support us. Having said that, like I said, industrial automation, industrial robots are very different from medical robots, and therefore we needed to do a lot of R&D on our own, which means salaries were high, opportunity to source material was sparse. There were lots of things that obviously needed a lot more money and time. A friend of ours actually recommended that we apply for one of these government grants. And yeah, it sounded all good, but I wasn't sure. I believe there were some 16,000 applicants for that grant, and there were 7 or 8 categories, and we had 4 days. Yeah, he told us to apply 4 days before the deadline, right? So obviously, I spoke to one or two people who applied for this grant in the past, and they said it's a great idea. You'll get it in the second or third attempt, and things like that. So it was not very promising, but nevertheless, we went ahead and applied for the grant, and we had very stringent 3 levels of screening. We had professors from all the IITs in the country, I think, and lots of faculty from abroad, lots of doctors, public health experts on the panel each time. And it was a big deal when we got it. So what I'm saying is, talking to people is probably something that really helps, in the ecosystem that you're in, especially when it's new to you. Like I hadn't heard of this BIRAC grant that the Indian government handed out, and it was a big grant. It was 50 lakhs, so it was a prestigious grant, and it was a good amount to kick off the research that we were doing at that time, right? So it helps to be part of this community.
Ma'am, initially was there any fear of implementing the course?
I think we have to fear every day. Only because we're doing something new, when we're doing something for the first time, it's okay to be a little nervous, I think, and which makes us a little bit more cautious and careful, and I think that's a good thing.
Was your first robotics surgery a successful and proper one, or was some changes needed?
I'm not a surgeon, and I don't perform the surgeries myself. But I have a dear friend who's done 127 surgeries in Coimbatore on a robot, and have all been successful.
Ma'am, do you think awareness programs need to be conducted to make people accept robotic treatments are happening in medicine?
Awareness is required in everything that you talk to a patient about. Even if it's a COVID vaccine, for example, the patient needs to know enough to actually make the decision on their own. We're not here to, I think in Latin, the word doctor actually means to provide information, right? A teacher to the patient. So that's really our job. So give them enough information and empower them to make the decision on their own. Do not say a robotic surgery or a laparoscopic surgery is superior to an open, generic surgery. Because once you give them enough information, I think the choice is obvious. Right?
Thank you.
Ma'am, hi. Have you ever had a medical case or medical patient's case or scenario that made you change your aspect of medicine or the sector as a whole? And how did you overcome it or confront it?
A sector from wanting to be a gastroenterologist to this, or?
For anything. I mean, what is the most prominent thing that made you change your aspects?
I think for me, the biggest thing has always been access to quality care. All of us in this room are really privileged to pick a hospital, to pick a doctor, to even pick multiple doctors, to do whatever test we want in the next 3 hours if we wish to, right? There are millions of people in this, around us, not even far away, around us who don't have this opportunity. I think the fact that it's so simple to almost bring that opportunity to them is what I think we need to change, and that's always been my goal. It's simple, like I said. If we make 12 of these robots to make these diagnoses, any government hospital, any cancer screening camp, anybody can access this without having first to travel, without having to pay for specialist doctor. There's so many costs and time. Time is the biggest factor here that you cut down. Like 3 months is a long time. Like I said, when WHO did that study, 120 days was lost in most patients because of delays in diagnosis. Yeah.
Hi ma'am, so I was wondering ma'am, out of all the diseases in this world ma'am, if you get to cure a disease, what would it be ma'am? And Why so, ma'am? Like, what situation or incident made you choose that disease to be cured?
Disease per se is something that, so I have a master's in preventive health. Okay, so my goal really is to prevent all diseases. Yeah, so prevent, when I say not, you said treat, but I'm saying even prevent the disease from happening. Right? So when you focus on something that's not already there, you're saving so many factors in the whole cost of that person. So individual patient health is something that is very expensive for the country, and none of us realize that. But when a person actually falls sick, it's way more expensive than actually preventing that person from falling sick. Yeah, so I think that should be our focus, to actually prevent something from happening before it happens, than chasing, something that's almost hard to cure.
Ma'am, so I was just wandering to your website and I saw a virtual reality there. So how do you connect it with medical team?
So we're working on a device that is going to train young. You know how doctors are. Doctors are very averse to anything mechanical, anything technical, right? Like I'm saying, I bring up the example of my father, and I think I'm talking about him for the fifth time today. If I told him that this is what we're doing, we're teaching young children as young as you to actually perform a surgery with a VR module, he's never going to accept that, right? But this is what it is. We're at this cusp of transformation, and we have to embrace it. And so we use actually VR training modules to train surgeons to be able to perform robotic surgery with ease. And it takes no more than playing a video game, honestly. So yeah. So there are lots of these training modules. Like how you have video games, you have training modules, and for every surgery, for everything from like suturing to every small activity that involves a lot of precision in a large surgery is trained. So you can sit at home, put on your VR goggles, and with simple tools learn how to perform surgery.
Yeah. In Coimbatore, which hospital started using robots and
Many. KMC has it, PSU has it, GEM has it, lots of, I think Hindustan has a Indian surgical robot. Many hospitals in the country.
So, what inspired you to combine your medical expertise with entrepreneurship in the field of medical robotics?
Like I said, I mean, it was not something I wanted to do or planned to do when I set out, right? It was something that happened naturally, and COVID, I think, sort of re-emphasized the fact that technology has to be used to be able to reach out to more people and to provide quality care effectively. So,
How do you see doctors and entrepreneurs evolving in the next few years?
Doctors evolving is, a good question. But like I said, evolution in medicine has been quite continuous, right? There has been a lot of evolution in different aspects of even surgery. Robotics is just something that's made one giant leap, and that is part of the progression. And in 20 years, I mean, I'm sure all of you will have all the answers to everything that you need to know. I won't be the only one in the room knowing anything about robotics, just like we know everything about laparoscopic surgery. All of us will be so exposed to it, and we'll obviously have at least one or two people we know who've been through the process, and we'll all be more reassured and believe in the whole system a little more.
What are the trends and emerging technologies in medical robotics that you particularly find promising or disruptive?
What I find particular. So I think this was about 8 years ago when I visited this company in Germany, and they had actually built an entire spine, okay, artificially for a human who had had some injury to his spine. And at that time, I remember telling everybody it's great to have this model, but to actually integrate this exoskeleton into a human being and see it work will be very, very hard, is what I thought. This was 8 years ago. The next time I visited that same company, they had incorporated this into a bird. Yeah. So we were sitting here, and in the office they had a bird flying around, a model of a bird with this exoskeleton. And you know, when a bird flies, it does all sorts of movements with its spine, right? So all that was possible, and they incorporated that into the model. And now they have it in human beings. So I think for me that was like the biggest transition that I saw. It was very fascinating. Yeah. So I said one of the applications for robots in humans is physical therapy. So this is one of the applications I think was quite remarkable.
Was that interesting for you?
What are the challenges in medical robotics?
Just like anything else, when you have access to too much information, it's obviously, there is some caution that you have to deal with. Yeah. So there is that aspect of misusing data. Yeah. There's so much data transfer, and it is up to us to make sure that patient privacy is withheld at every stage, right? Because there's so much transfer of all information. Most of it unnecessary, in my opinion, but there's so much information being transferred between the patient and the doctor, between the patient and the robotic company, between the patient and other doctors and other paramedical staff. Everything needs to be done with utmost privacy. And like I said earlier, everything needs to be informed to the patient, and the patient needs to make an informed consent, gives you an informed consent for you to make the next step. And I think if we do that, I think we'll all be in a good space and not misuse this thing. Yeah.
Ma'am, who was your inspiration for this start?
For the startup, many people, I have, so like I said, I'm not from here. I moved here 18 years ago, and when I came here, many people, my family and my friends, kept telling me about the opportunity that I was not actually taking full advantage of. And I think it took them many years of convincing. Some of them are here. But yeah, I think everybody believed in me more than I believed in myself. And then, yeah, I think that was what. And COVID. COVID was another big push for me. I realized that it had to be done, and the need was very, very obvious. You realize how much of a difference you can make so easily.
Good morning, everyone. This has been an incredible and insightful session today, and this has been very heartwarming for us to have Dr. Aishwarya Arjun amongst us. On behalf of all the students, I would like to deliver a vote of thanks for sharing her expertise, knowledge, and experience in her field of work today. We have learned a great deal today, not only the subject matter, but also the values of curiosity and open-mindedness. As we leave here today, let's remember to keep our open minds, and we will always learn in the journey of life. Thank you. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you.